Maybe he was grooming her. I hope to God he doesn't kill her, and I hope to God he doesn't rape her.
Today we're going to cover a case about an 8-year-old who was abducted right in front of her own mother. But before we get started, welcome to True Crime with Maneater. If you love all things true crime, including missing person cases, cold cases, and just the strange happenings of the world, you've come to the right place. Be sure to subscribe and turn on alerts so you never miss a video upload. Let's get started. Before we get started, I do want to note that the details of this case are incredibly graphic and violent, so viewer discretion is advised. Unfortunately, Cherish Perrywinkle was born into quite a chaotic environment. Her mother, Rain, and Billy were apparently in a very bitter custody dispute. Eventually, Cherish's mother, Rain, was awarded full custody of her 3 daughters. The custody evaluator in the case, Robert would go on to say that he feared for Cherish's safety, and he voiced his objections during the custody battle. He would argue that the mother of the girls created a very unstable environment for the girls to be in, and she was living with her boyfriend at the time, and that was just even more unstable. On June 21st, 2013, Rain would take her 3 daughters to the local Dollar General store in Jacksonville, Florida. While at the Dollar General store, a man would approach Rain and her daughters. This man would introduce himself as Donald Smith. He noticed that Rain was having a hard time paying for clothing for her children, so he offered to buy the girls clothing at a nearby Walmart using a gift card that he had. He basically said, "Listen, my wife and I have this gift card and we're not using it. Let me take you to the Walmart. Let me help you buy your children clothes." And because this man mentioned his wife, Rain thought, well, maybe he is just a nice person trying to do a nice thing and his wife's gonna meet us at the Walmart. And what can happen? We're in public. Later, Rain Perrywinkle would testify that she thought it was a strange proposition, but she did feel more comfortable when the man mentioned his wife. And she said her children were basically in desperate need of clothing, and what choice did she have? She didn't have money to clothe them, and she just knew that she needed to do something. So they went over to the Walmart and began to shop. And around 10 p.m., Rain noticed that this man's wife never arrived, and that was because she didn't exist. By now, all 3 of her children are complaining about being really hungry. So this man, Donald Smith, was like, "Hey, let me go get everybody some McDonald's. I'll take Cherish with me, we'll be right back." He's like, "You stay here, you wait for my wife, we'll come back, everybody will eat, and then we'll finish our shopping." And that was the last time anyone saw Cherish alive again. I'm not trying to cast judgment here, I just can't believe that this woman let her child go with a man that she didn't know. Even if it was just next door, this man is a complete stranger, you know nothing about him. And then a whole hour would pass before Rain noticed her daughter hadn't returned yet. So she went to a Walmart employee and asked to borrow their phone, and she called 911.
He wanted her to buy these really tall shoes that were women's shoes, and I told him no. I said they're too high for her. I wouldn't even wear shoes that high. Maybe he was grooming her. I hope to God he doesn't kill her, and I hope to God he doesn't rape her.
So she calls 911 and she says, "I'm hoping he's not raping her right now. We've been here probably 2 hours and she didn't show up. I have this cart full of clothes that he said he was going to pay for. I had a bad feeling. I feel like pinching myself because this is too good to be true. I got to the checkout and he's not here. My girls need clothes so bad, that's why I let him do it." That 911 call in itself just seems completely strange, especially that last line. "That's why I let him do it." Does she mean that's why she let this man take Cherish with him to McDonald's? Or I don't know, just something about that really stands out to me. So 6 hours after that call went out, an Amber Alert finally went out for Cherish Perrywinkle. Apparently Donald Smith had a roommate, and that man, known as Charlie, called the police, and he gave him information about Smith, hoping to find the little girl. Around 9 a.m. the next day, an officer noticed Donald Smith's van, and he was actually able to arrest Donald Smith. And around the same time, a tip actually came into the police department about Donald Smith's van at a church. Police would obviously go over and search that area because they're very hopeful that Cherish is alive. But unfortunately, behind the church in a creek was Cherish Perrywinkle. Cherish was found in the creek wearing the same dress that she had been wearing the night before, except her body was just bitten up by ants and bugs. She had a lot of contusions to her body. There's hemorrhaging. There's busted blood vessels around her neck where she had been strangled to death. An autopsy would later reveal that she died of blunt force trauma to the back of her head. She was also strangled with a t-shirt with such force that she began to bleed from her eyes, gums, and nose. And prior to her murder, she had been raped. Apparently, when Smith was arrested, he told police officers that he had been smoking crack cocaine all night with prostitutes. But they noticed that he was soaking wet. So they asked him, well, why are you wet? And he told them, well, I sweat profusely when I do drugs. Of course, they didn't buy this. He was charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and rape. And apparently, this trial was very traumatizing for everyone involved. The jury had at one point broke down and began to cry. The chief medical examiner even had to take breaks during testimony. The doctor who performed the autopsy said that she was raped so viciously that it destroyed her insides. And they noted that it would have taken the 8-year-old 5 minutes to die while being strangled. The state attorney would say, Cherish did not die quickly and she did not die easily. In fact, hers was a brutal and tortured death. And then on the second day of the trial, the jury would hear a secret recording. Apparently, while in jail, Smith was talking to a group of inmates as he was watching a group of 12 and 13-year-old girls that visited the jail that day. And in this recording, he would say, that's right up my alley right there. That's my target area. I'd like to run into her at Walmart. He also would say that Cherish had a butt on her. She had a lot for a white girl. And apparently in those recordings, Smith basically revealed that he was going to use the insanity defense. He also said that he was hopeful that he would be sentenced to death because he didn't want his fellow inmates to kill him for his crimes. It took the jury only 15 minutes to come back with a verdict, and they did suggest the death penalty. But apparently Donald Smith, who wanted the death penalty, has appealed it. So shortly after the murder of Cherish, Rain's other 2 daughters were removed from her custody. And in a 2017 interview, she would talk about how she was unable to hold down a job because people blamed her for her daughter's death and because she was grieving. And apparently her 2 other daughters were adopted by a relative in Australia that same year. She would say, I wish they would just feel for one day what they've done to me. It's not all about myself. Cherish is the biggest victim in this. She is the biggest victim. This case is just completely devastating because it could have been avoided. And I'm not blaming Cherish's mother, Rain, but this one bad decision ended the life of her child, and now she has to live with that forever. So I'd love to know what you guys feel about this case, so pop it in the comments below. But that's it for today, guys. If you like this video or any other video on my channel, be sure to subscribe and turn on alerts so you never miss a video upload. If you have a suggestion for a case, as always, pop it in the comments and I'll try to get to it. Check out some other videos on my channel while you wait for the next upload, and I'll see you next time.